What your kids really need to know. In the New Testament, our Lord Jesus Christ is often associated with truth. In the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14, it says those who saw Jesus said he was, quote, full of grace and truth, unquote. Jesus said to his disciples if they follow and learn from him, they will, quote, know the truth, and the truth will make them free, unquote. John 8:32. Jesus said he came into the world to, quote, bear witness of the truth, unquote. The philosophy of relativism is a revolt against God and his laws. Relativism is a denial of who Jesus Christ is. When Jesus said in John 14:6, I am the truth, he was saying he just doesn't bear witness of the truth, but he is the origin and the incarnation of truth. He is walking truth, truth embodied. In my previous video, Why Teens Believe Christianity is Irrational and Anti-Science, I said that the Christian worldview has compelling answers to challenge or to the challenges that teenagers and young adults face from a secular world. One specific challenge comes in the question, why do you believe God exists? Your son and daughter will most likely refer to the Bible as proof. But what if the person that's asking them that question doesn't believe the Bible? Is there an objective and scientific argument God exists? The answer is yes. In that video, I talked about the three major arguments that provide compelling and objective evidence God exists. And I encouraged parents to equip their children with those arguments. In today's video, I want to equip parents to teach their sons and daughters about relativism. Many people say relativism is the greatest problem of our time. Well, considering the times in which we live, that's a huge claim. However, I believe it's true. I believe it's true because most of the major issues that we face today, such as political correctness, various forms of pluralism, religion, ethics, homosexuality, and transgenderism, and so on, are based on the underlying assumption of relativism. The reason relativism is so widely accepted is because it's so rarely scrutinized. I want to show you what's wrong with relativism, why it doesn't make sense, why it doesn't work in real life, and why parents should teach their children how to identify and guard against it. Relativism is the idea that there is no God, therefore there is no absolute truth. Truth differs from person to person and culture to culture. You have your truth and I have mine. I want to give you some of the main points that you're going to need to teach your children about relativism. Teach them how relativism contradicts itself, kills itself, commits suicide. For example, number one, Mr. Relativist says relativism is true for everyone. But that contradicts relativism. How can relativism be true for everyone when everything is relative? Bang, Mr. Relativist committed suicide. Number two, Mr. Relativist says that things can be proven scientifically, and therefore they're not relative but true for everyone. But we shouldn't believe him when he says that, because he can't prove what he just said scientifically. Bang, he committed suicide. Number three, Mr. Relativist can't accuse anyone of doing wrong, lying, cheating, stealing his wallet. There is no right or wrong. Mr. Relativist can't make a moral judgment about those things. He commits suicide again. Number 4, Mr. Relativist can't complain about the problem of evil, war, murder, torture, cruelty. If Mr. Relativist complains something is evil, he's admitting that the thing is objectively wrong. He contradicts himself. Bang, he commits suicide. Number 5, Mr. Relativist can't blame or accept praise. Blame implies bad behavior. Praise implies good behavior. Blame and praise imply a standard. Mr. Relativist is speaking gibberish when he talks about those kind of things. Number 6, Mr. Relativist can't say someone is being unfair. In a world of relativism, that word unfair, unjust, doesn't make any sense. Number 7, Mr. Relativist cannot discuss morality. A discussion about morality assumes there is immorality. It denotes that a standard of moral and immoral exists. Number 8, Mr. Relativist can't talk about tolerance. Tolerance means a person ought to tolerate the opinions of others. But the word ought, I ought to tolerate or do something, implies the existence of a universal right and wrong, something you ought to do. Bang, Mr. Relativist commits suicide. You see, children need to understand a world of relativism is a world where nothing is wrong, nothing is evil, bad, blameworthy, praiseworthy. A world where being fair and honest are meaningless concepts. Biological sex and gender are relative. A relative world is a world where there's no accountability to others, no accountability to God. The idea that Jehovah God exists and is the source of objective truth doesn't make sense and isn't tolerated in a relative world. Jesus said, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." John 8:31-32. In John 17:17, Jesus said, "Sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth." You see, the fog of relativism does not set a person free, but enslaves them. The Apostle Paul said in 2 Thessalonians 2:11, "They perish because they did not receive the love of the truth." Relativism leads people away from a love of truth. It enslaves and destroys them. Many young people believe in order to discover who they really are, must free themselves from the constraints of God and His universal truths. I recently read about a 7-year-old boy who believed he was a girl. His parents dressed him as a girl and sent him to school. They thought that would help him find his true self. That's an example of a consequence of relativism. Instead of their child being set free, they morally abandoned him. The sad irony is they did it because they loved him. If you want to know how misguided relativism is to children, apply the principle of relativism to high school driver's education. Your son or daughter no longer have to pay attention to those yellow lines in the road and those annoying signs. There are no rules of the road. Your child makes up his own rules, drives any old way he wants. That's what young people are learning about right and wrong. That's how they learn to drive their lives. Be sure to follow me Subscribe to my channel. It's free. All my videos can be accessed on my website, biblicalcounselingmarriagefamily.org. Click the video tab and scroll down to the red button. Thank you for watching.